Babe, can you hurry up?
I can't figure out how to buckle this thing.
We're going like 3 miles. Who cares?
All right,
Leave
fine.
it.
What are you doing?
It's dry shampoo. Do you think I have time to shower?
Why do you need that? Just wake up earlier.
Oh, maybe if you'd help me with the kids, I could bathe.
I do everything in this house.
Babe,
that seatbelt thing drives me crazy. It gives me a headache. Can you buckle up?
Okay, maybe if you would do your job, I wouldn't have to.
Mom, Dylan's mad.
Why?
Why is he mad?
Because he lost his Triceratops.
Triceratops aren't even in the Bible.
They're not in the Bible.
Okay,
They don't
we learned
exist.
creation.
Here, put some of this under your eyes. Did you not get any sleep?
I got plenty of sleep. I'm fine. What?
Daddy stayed up playing poker.
Okay, enough. Play with the Barbies.
Can you please learn how to drive?
Listen, do your makeup at the house.
I don't have time. What is this, chocolate or poop? Baby, I'm trying to put my lipstick on. If you could put...
He's learning about David and Goliath. Just let him shoot, okay?
Throw that gun at
Mom, Dylan wants to watch videos on Dad's phone.
Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. Tell Dylan that Daddy's texting and driving and he can't
listen,
use it.
I'm navigating, all right? I'm on the GPS.
Okay, maybe if you went to church more, you wouldn't have to look up where it is. Can you stop hitting your brother, please?
I promise you, if I have to pull this car over, these spankings are about to be deep and wide. If your mother didn't have so many headaches at night, then maybe I wouldn't be such an irritable mood. Get control of your family.
Can you get control of the steering wheel, please? How long has this coffee been in here?
I don't know, since last weekend.
I don't care.
You're in charge of the kids.
Oh, I'm in charge of the kids?
I don't know. Wives, submit to your husbands. Ever read that verse?
You ever heard the song, It Takes Two to Make a Thing Go Right?
That's not a Bible verse.
Sorry, kids. It sounds like Daddy needs a little N-A-P-T-I-M-E.
Okay, maybe Mommy needs some M-E-R-L-O-T again.
Where's Barbie?
Barbie's staying at home today.
Okay, maybe Barbie stayed at home because she put on her makeup at the house.
Maybe Barbie needs a new kin. But please, can I have that?
Look at that. And you would have another baby?
Oh,
We're not going to the playground!
Quiet. I can't handle it. We are going to church.
Well, I hope the sermon series is on patience today.
Okay, what?
You need it.
What? Where is it?
Can you give me that?
Playground!
We're not... Okay, if you guys can act good for just 2 hours, we'll take you to Pizza Hut after church, okay?
Did you just bribe our children?
It's the only thing that works. We're about to go into church. Will you put your phone on silent?
Okay, maybe you should put your voice on silent.
Okay.
Hey, we're like 15 minutes late to church.
Should we just act like visitors and park in the front?
I don't know. We got to put on our flashers for that.
Should we just drop the kids off and go to lunch?
Can we even do that?
We tithe enough. We should be.
Mom, Dylan said he has to pee.
Let him pee in his pants. I don't care.
We have the diaper bag, sweetie. It's the church nursery's problem. No, we're not watching Moana on the way to church.
On the way to church, it's always VeggieTales. On the way home, you can watch whatever you want.
We literally don't care.
Why on the way to church is it always VeggieTales?
It's Christian.
Maybe your Sunday mornings are like that. I hope it's not quite that bad. Today we are in Numbers 22 and we are discussing the story of Balaam. As we've gone through our series on biblical humor, we've gone through quite a few different stories, and we've kind of had to sometimes really draw out of the story why it's funny and what the meaning was to get the actual humor in it. Today it's pretty right in your face, and so I want to set it up for you. Balaam is a prophet of God. He's not an Israelite. He's not a Hebrew by descent, but he is a prophet of the God of the Hebrews, of the one true God, of the only God that there is. This man speaks to God. And so he has been living and making his living as a prophet and speaking to people on behalf of God for his livelihood. Now, this is about the time frame where the Israelites have come out of Egypt and they've wandered for 40 years and they're about to enter the Promised Land. And as they're about to enter the Promised Land, the people living in the Promised Land are worried because the Israelites look like this huge, overwhelming mass of people that are just going to come and roll over them like a wave. And so one of the kings in this Promised Land was the king of Moab. And he decides, I need to do something to keep the Israelites from coming and taking our land. And so I need to call upon a real prophet to pull down a curse on them and curse them so that they will not be successful in their plot to take over our land. And so he knows about a man named Balaam. And so he says, I'm going to call for Balaam to come and curse the people of God, and that's going to keep them from taking our land from us. And so he sends some envoys to Balaam. He sends a group of men with a bunch of money. Go and see Balaam and tell him that we want him to call down a curse on the Israelites. And so the envoys go, and Balaam's like, okay, I'll listen to what you have to say. And he listens and hears them out, and he says, okay, I have to talk to God. That night, he talks to God. God emphatically says, no, you can't curse who I bless. Very clear, about as clear as anything in the passage. You cannot curse who I bless. I have blessed these people. How could you curse them? No, this is a no. This is a firm no. This is the firmest no that God has given. No, you do not go and do this. We get the feeling Balaam's a little disappointed. There's a lot of money being thrown his way. A lot of money being offered to him to go and curse these people. And he has to say no. He has to turn down the job. And he does. He turns down the job. And so the envoys go away, taking back their money. A little while later, the king says, I'll send more envoys and I'll send more money. This time they come back to him and they say, we've got more money. We've got more money. Would you come and curse God's people so that they do not take over the land of the Moabites? Now, that in itself should already catch us as strange. It's such an odd thing that maybe if we give more money, then God will change his mind. As if God is dependent upon our money, as if God is dependent upon the money that is being offered to Balaam to curse. But Balaam, he wants the money, and so he's eager, and he says, I'll ask God again. Let me just ask, maybe he'll change his mind. And so Balaam goes crawling back to God that night. God, can I go with them? Can I? I get the feeling this was one of those moments kind of like when my kids are asking for a popsicle and I say no and they just keep asking and keep asking. It's kind of a moment like that where they're just asking. And he asks because he wants it so bad it doesn't matter that it should be no, that the answer is no. Balaam wants the money. Balaam wants to do this. God sees his heart and God relents and says, okay, you can go, but you can only do and say what I say. You won't do anything that I don't authorize you to do. I know your heart is set on, so go ahead. It's kind of that when the parent gives in type of a mentality. It's okay, you're going to see the hard way how this is going to go for you. And so God says to Balaam, you can go. Now right after this is the part of the story that we're going to read and we're going to focus in on today. There's going to be, I'm going to ruin it for you right now, there's going to be a talking donkey. Okay, in case you didn't know that there was a talking donkey in the Bible, there's a talking donkey in the Bible. And maybe you thought that Shrek was the first one to come up with that, and the donkey, that was the first time that ever was. I am here to let you know that Shrek and DreamWorks are a bunch of plagiarists. There's a talking donkey in the Bible. There's a talking donkey in the Bible, and it's such an odd situation. And we see this conversation take place between a man and an animal like it's no big deal. And we have to laugh at it. We have to find the humor in it. God, you really are trying to show us our foolish ways. So I'm going to read to you Numbers 22, starting in verse 21. Balaam got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the Moabite officials. But God was very angry when he went. And the angel of the Lord stood in the road to oppose him. Balaam was riding on his donkey with his 2 servants were with him. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand, it turned off the road and into the field. Balaam beat it back onto the road. The angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path through the vineyards with walls on both sides. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it pressed close against the wall, crushing Balaam's foot against it. And so he beat the donkey again. Then the angel of the Lord moved on ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn either to the right or to the left. And when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it lay down under Balaam. And he was angry, and he beat it with his staff. Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and it said to Balaam, "What have I done to make you beat me these 3 times?" And Balaam answered the donkey, "You have made a fool of me. If only I had the sword in my hand, I would kill you right now." The donkey said to Balaam, "Am I not your own donkey, which you have always ridden to this day? Have I been in the habit of doing this to you?" "No," he said. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with his sword drawn, and he bowed low and fell face down. And the angel of the Lord asked him, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? I have come here to oppose you because your path is a reckless one before me." The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If it had not turned away, I would certainly have killed you by now. But I would have spared it. Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to oppose me. Now if you're displeased, I will go back." Now I'm guessing you don't have to point out the big humor in this story, that there's a talking animal. We in our area, we work with livestock. A lot of you work with livestock. You live on a farm. You at least have a cat or a dog. You're around animals. If an animal starts talking to you, and you just talk back to it like it's a normal conversation, if you do, maybe you need to be the one who gets checked up on. It's not a normal thing. If you go out to the hog house and they start talking to you, there's something wrong. You don't just carry on a conversation. But Balaam does. The donkey talks to him, and he just, like it's no big deal, starts the conversation back with the donkey. Other thing we notice in this passage is Peter would probably have a fit, because the man beat his donkey 3 times. What is better yet about the story of Balaam is that this man just has a conversation like it's no big deal to talk to a donkey, like he's living in some cartoon land. Each time the donkey saw the angel of the Lord on the road, he protected Balaam, and Balaam beat him for it. At the end of the 3rd time, the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and the conversation begins. "What have I done to make you beat me these 3 times?" And Balaam answered the donkey, "You have made a fool of me." Can you imagine what his friends are thinking? We don't know whether his friends can hear the donkey too, but it's very true. "You've made a fool of me." He says these words as he's talking to a donkey. "You've made a fool of me." Well, you look pretty foolish right now talking to a donkey. "If only I had my sword in hand, I would kill you." Now, Balaam is well known for seeking money. That seems to be his quality. That is, he's reckless in his going after wealth at all costs. He's after the money. He's after the money, and you know what? It doesn't matter what God says. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and get it. He's after the money. For a man who is after the money, he is surprisingly short-sighted when it comes to a talking donkey, because there is a lot of money-making opportunity here. And he's ready to just kill the donkey. And let alone, he's not going to set up a roadside stand and see the talking donkey for $1. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. But he continues in his anger. Nothing has gone right on this trip. Balaam has had a terrible, terrible day. Nothing has gone right. I set out to do this thing, and here we got lost. We got on a detour. I set out to do this thing, and after we finally got back on the road, then my foot got crushed. And we finally got back on the road, and here my donkey has a flat tire, and we're laying down. And things are rough for him. And God has made it so. God has made it so. God has made this a difficult journey. I'm guessing some of you, as you were hearing this story, as you were thinking about a talking donkey, you were expecting the humor in this story to come from the other name for the word donkey. That double meaning didn't exist in Hebrew literature. And so the only time we get to say that word in church is if you're singing an old Christmas song that hasn't been changed to where the ox and lamb are feeding. Nobody gets that. I think it's funny. Back to the donkey. Everything about this story is meant to catch our attention. There's a donkey talking to these people to throw us off guard because animals don't talk and the prophets of God don't hire themselves out to curse God's people. Yet the expected is subverted and all we're left with is the unexpected. Perhaps the real humor of this story lies in Balaam's poor plan. You see, here's a man that even though he knows God's plan, he wants something real bad, and so he's working against God. He knows God's plan. God doesn't want to curse his own people, but there's money in it. There's a plan that Balaam wants real bad, and it doesn't matter that God said, no, I'm going to do it anyway. I wonder how many of us are like that. Later in the New Testament, they call it Balaam's folly. That he would go after it even though God said no. I wonder how many of us rush into Balaam's folly. How many times we've been told no by God. Obviously in the scriptures he said don't do this or don't do that. Or just we know consciously that he has said no to this situation and we've chased it anyhow. Maybe it was a relationship. Maybe it was a job. Maybe it's something that tears you from God. Maybe it's wealth. Maybe it's all the finance things that he was after. And we've chased it and said, I want it and I don't care what God says. It's clear that it's wrong and we pursue it anyway. I tell you, we're shocked when the road is full of trouble. Balaam was shocked that his road was full of trouble. He was shocked at this. God told him, no, don't do this. And then finally, after some badgering, he's like, okay, God says, fine. You're going to learn the hard way. And Balaam's shocked that his road is full of hardship. Balaam's shocked that it's not going smooth and easy, that his donkey has led him astray and crushed his foot and laid down underneath him, that nothing is working in his life. I wonder how many times we've been in similar situations. Our ambition, our desires have pushed us to sin, pulled us away from God, and we wonder why the road is rough. Why the detour? Why the pain? Why the utter failure? And we get angry like Balaam did. We're angry that it's not going smooth when we sought ourselves. Each of the struggles that Balaam encountered saved his life. Did you catch that in the story? God, the angel said, if the donkey hadn't taken you astray and crushed your foot and laid down, I surely would have killed you by now. You'd be dead, and I'd have spared that beast. You'd be dead, though. And so those little mishaps, those inconveniences, maybe they're severe struggles, they were there for a purpose to save Balaam's life. And I wonder how many times we have the same. You wonder because you're going through what seems like a terrible time in your life. And things are a struggle. And you just say, why isn't it smooth? Why isn't it easy? And God says, I'm protecting you from something so much worse. God, I have plans for you. I know you can't see on the other side of what I have for you, but it's better over there. I'm protecting you right now. I know you just want a smooth trip, but if you had a smooth trip, you'd be dead by now. And I wonder how many times He's protected us. I wonder how many times you've gotten in the long line at the grocery store and you've been late and you've been running behind, but you avoided a car wreck. I wonder how many times you've had something go bad and it's pushed you into a different area and you had to stop and help somebody, but you avoided a serious injury. You avoided something worse. You had to go to the doctor because of this and it was an inconvenience, but they caught something bigger. How many times are we saved by these inconveniences? I know That there's times that it seems like, why is this happening, God? Why am I going through this? Balaam's life was saved by those inconveniences. Perhaps another point for us to take to heart this morning. If you're going through a detour in life, or pain, or sudden stop, maybe it's for your protection. Maybe what you're going through in life is for your good and not for your bad. Maybe it's so God can save you and doesn't lose you. The story of Balaam and his folly. First of all, don't chase what God says not to chase. Don't go running after it and say, forget all the cost. That's Balaam's folly. That's his failure. And second, if you're hitting all these roadblocks, maybe they're for a reason. Maybe they're for a reason. Maybe you need to reevaluate and say, maybe I don't need to head this direction. Maybe they're there to keep you safe. Maybe they're there to slow you down. Because God has something better in mind. Don't chase no matter the consequence. Our message this morning is to seek God, His will, and don't do what you want even if He says no. Because that is our impulse. Forget Him and do whatever we feel like. If you do, if you follow Balaam in all of his ways and say, forget what God says, I'm going to do what I want, you may just find yourself talking to a dog. As the praise team comes up, we're given examples in our scriptures. Humorous ones, funny ones, things that are absurd. And they're there to make us realize, you know what, we have that in our own life too. Would you stand with us as we sing?